Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Tony, and this is the 142nd episode of Tone's Takes. And tonight I wanted to talk about Amazon Rekognition with a K. And I'm sorry, I just have a hard time trusting anything that replaces one letter with a K, typically a C. I mean, blame it on the KKK. I'm talking about the Kim Kanye Kardashian connection, whatever you want. But this latest thing, this whole Amazon facial recognition, it's pretty crazy. It kind of, the future is here basically. If you remember this awesome scene from Minority Report.
Hello, Mr. Yakamoto. Welcome back to the Gap. How those assorted tank tops work out for you?
I mean, that's great if you're going to the Gap, but as this Amazon rep here, who already kind of looks like he's an android. I mean, just look at his face. It's like if Mark Zuckerberg just went full on android or something in his 40s or something. This guy was actually talking about this facial recognition software back in 2017, and here's just a quick snippet of what he had to say. Let's listen to this.
You need the context of the frames before and the frames after and knowing exactly what you've captured. So it's not a simple problem. So we've been working on this for a while, and I'm excited to introduce for you a new service called Amazon Rekognition Video, which does real-time and batch video analytics.
Oh yeah, that's so good, and you can hear the people going woo. It's just reminding me of this scene from Star Wars. I think it was I can't remember, one of the prequels.
So this is
I love
how
this.
liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
That's right, Pat May. This is how our democracy is going to die, to thunderous applause, and it's already dead. The American Civil Liberties Union is trying to get involved, but, based on Lady Liberty's expression, she's like already over it. Look at that. Her eyes are like rolling into the back of her head. Basically, what this software does, if you don't know about it, according to what Amazon puts on their website, Amazon Rekognition makes it easy to add image and video analytics, with mainly it being video analytics being pushed to your applications. And why it's causing a huge stir lately is because it's being used by police and law enforcement in two areas, one Orlando, Florida, and another place in Washington County, Oregon. And so it begins. There's been a push by the ACLU to find out exactly how it's being used. According to this Ars Technica article, they're literally working with law enforcement to provide a database of mugshots. And oddly enough, when you zoom out of all the mugshots that they have, it looks like Donald Trump. So that's pretty amazing. But no, seriously. So they're basically collecting mugshots, and the ACLU, basically, here's what they wrote. With Rekognition, with a K, a government can now build a system to automate the identification and tracking of anyone. If police body cameras, for example, were outfitted with facial recognition, devices intended for officer transparency and accountability would further transform into surveillance machines aimed at the public. With this technology, police would be able to determine who attends protests. ICE could seek to continuously monitor immigrants as they embark on new lives. Cities might routinely track their own residents, whether they have reason to suspect criminal activity or not. As with other surveillance technologies, these systems are certain to be disproportionately aimed at minority communities, which is interesting because I was reading another article from the Huffington Post, and they were pretty much saying that this technology is terrible at recognizing darker skinned faces, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, because it could mean that Tyrone might get away with certain crimes, but it also might mean Jerome, Larry, Harold, and this poor little llama might also get blamed for some crime that Tyrone committed, because recognition won't just give you no match, it'll give you the closest match. So it'll say this guy looks 90% like the actual perp and this guy looks 80%, so let's just arrest them all. And a lot of people, again, have reached out to Jeff Bezos, and they're basically saying, hey, look, this needs to come down. But I mean, come on. Does Jeff Bezos looks like a guy who gives a damn about your civil liberties? So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, people are saying it'll target immigrants. They're saying that it'll target protesters who, again, this is from Charlottesville. And I think that's actually a good thing. I think that we need to track people a lot more closely, especially if it can track people's emotions. If it can get down to a level where it can detect if someone is at a state where they don't look like they're in their right mind, it might actually be able to stave off things like a terrorist attack, like some kid going to a school and shooting up his classmates, like someone going to a hotel in Las Vegas and going up to the 50-something floor and shooting up people. It might actually be able to detect things like that. So I, for one, am actually all for facial detection systems. I am all for people and us having some sort of database where we are able to see what people look like on a day-to-day basis to figure out if they're actually in their own stable mind, and to know if something is actually about to go wrong. So that's where I stand. I don't agree with the ACLU. I will just finish this by saying exactly what Amazon's officials said in response. They said Amazon requires that customers comply with the law and be responsible when they use Amazon Web Services, of which Amazon Rekognition is a part of. When we find that AWS services are being abused by a customer, we suspend that customer's rights, blah, 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 blah. And then they go on to say, as a technology, Amazon Rekognition has many useful applications in the real world. Various agencies have used Rekognition to find abducted people. Amusement parks use Rekognition to find lost children. The royal wedding that just occurred over this past weekend used Rekognition to identify wedding attendees. So there are amazing positive reasons why we should be using this. I wish I could use it right now to identify what's bugging me in my nose. But anyway, the utility of AI services like this will only increase as more companies start using advanced technologies like Amazon Rekognition. Our quality of life will be much worse today if we outlaw new technology because some people could choose to abuse the technology. Imagine if customers couldn't buy a computer because it was possible to use that computer for illegal purposes. Great point, Amazon. Again, we need technology like this. We need to continue to push the bounds because I think in this case it can be used for good as long as it is properly maintained. Now that's up to how people decide to use it, but at least it's being brought to us and it has been used for good purposes and it can be used for good. So I am all for this. If you're against it, let me know. Let's have a discussion. Why do you think that Rekognition is a bad thing? And don't use the things that the ACLU already brought up, because I think it'd be great to track and ensure that immigrants are actually able to have a good sense of life and they're not sliding into some sort of dark corner of the world and sliding into crime. I think it'd be great to track residents on a day-to-day basis to ensure that they're not in danger of any kind and that they're not losing their minds. And I think it'd be great to track people that attend protests to make sure that if they do try something stupid, they know, oh, I'm being filmed, I could lose my job or something like that. So I think Amazon Rekognition and facial recognition services are a good thing. But that's my take. Let me know what yours is. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out.